I'll be lying to you if I said I didn't find the memes MMA fans made about Umar losing to Merab funny.
Merab wins this fight, how do you think he would beat you?
He will not. I can't imagine how he will beat me.
But I do feel for the guy because I think he's genuinely a good person, but he just happens to be in a sport where the fans are very toxic. The reason why the fans made such a big deal out of the loss was because going into the fight, we had every reason to believe that Omar was going to go in there and maul Merab for 5 rounds straight and outstrike him as well because he was the betting favorite and he just seemed to be the more confident fighter judging from the press conferences. Merab was the one who was projecting his insecurities, whereas Umar just remained calm and had rebuttals of his own. And he just seemed to be rage baiting Merab like he was getting in his head or something. But then when the fight happened, that clearly wasn't the case. And aside from a psychological advantage, there were some physical ones too. Umar had the height, reach, potentially strength advantage over Merab. And if things remained on the feet, it's pretty obvious that Umar would have the better of the exchanges because he has the better kickboxing in general. And unlike Merab, he actually utilizes his legs a lot more frequently. And they're a lot more lethal, whether we're talking low kicks, body and head kicks, teeps, you name it, Umar can do it. The only thing that raised questions was wrestling. And for some reason, a lot of people genuinely believe that Umar was a better wrestler than Merab. And it's not as simple as saying, is he a better wrestler or not? It's more a question of what has he done for us to be making these claims? His best win was Corey Sandhagen. Don't get me wrong, I think Corey's a great fighter and he's one of the very few that has made significant improvements in his grappling despite being a striker by foundation. Part of the reason why Corey won his fight against Song Yadong was because of the takedown threat. He would threaten a takedown, then land strikes upstairs. And even though he didn't complete the takedowns, he still gave Song a lot to think about. And Song is pretty dangerous. He just had a dominant performance over Henry Cejudo, and he packed some dynamite in his hands. The same dynamite that Petr was afraid of, despite being the best boxer in the bantamweight division, arguably. As impressive as Corey has been looking in his last few fights, even grappling wise, I just don't think it's a good look for a Dagestani to be losing some scrambling exchanges and inflicting minimal damage with the ones he's winning. If you remember correctly, whenever Umar would take Corey down, he wouldn't really do that much damage. It was mostly just to control Corey, and Corey would still find a way to scramble and find his way back to his feet. And I just don't think Merab would have the same result if he wrestled against Corey. And the thing about Merab is even if you get back up, he will take you down again. I don't think Umar has the ability to take down his opponents as frequently as Merab has. People really bought into the Dagestani hype with Umar and assume that just because he's training under Khabib, he's going to become champion and remain undefeated. Yes, Khabib has trained a lot of champions like Islam Makhachev and Bilal Muhammad, but lo and behold, Bilal just lost to JDM. So that doesn't mean Umar is immune to the same curse. A lot of people are unaware that Umar doesn't come from a combat sambo background like Islam and Khabib. He started off training Muay Thai with his brother Usman, then later on learned other martial arts. That's probably one of the reasons why Umar and Usman don't look as good as Khabib and Islam when it comes to implementing their ground game. But they just aren't as effective as Khabib and Islam have been, let alone as dynamic. When you look at someone like Merab Dvalishvili, like Islam and Khabib, he also comes from a combat sambo background, and it's part of the reason why a lot of MMA fighters have trouble with him. Combat sambo is literally MMA with a few differences in rules. MMA focuses on damage above all things, whereas combat sambo really works in favor of the grappler. Takedowns and throws are scored very highly as opposed to strikes which don't count unless they either rock or drop an opponent. That's probably one of the reasons why Merab is such a heavy crotch sniffer and has underdeveloped striking. I'll be lying to you if I said I didn't think Umar was going to win the fight judging from the first 2 rounds because he outstruck Merab and was defending the wrestling very well. I was actually convinced that he was the better wrestler just judging from those first 2 rounds alone. But as time went on, Umar began to fade. And you know Merab, the cardio king, that's when he starts to take over. And that's potentially why he won the fight. So on paper, Umar might actually be the better wrestler. But what difference does it make if he's not going to be able to keep that same level of intensity for 5 rounds? Merab can do that, so that technically makes Merab a better wrestler. I still think Umar's a great fighter and he might very well be a future champion. He just has to work on his cardio, perhaps. I don't think he has any issues with his cardio, judging from his Corey Sandhagen fight. His pacing against Merab must have been off. But then again, that might just be a testament of Merab's intensity because it produced the same result when he went up against Petr. Petr has some dynamite in his hands, but as the rounds went on, he just looked like he didn't pack anything. He had nothing from Merab, and Merab just kept on shooting for takedowns, not completing them, but he was still giving Petr Yan a whole lot to think about. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let me know what video I should make next in the comments. Peace out.